Hey everybody, this is Maxine Taylor, and I've got my forecast for the United States for April, May, and June of 2019. I feel like it will flow more easily if we cover a larger period of time. Now, I will still continue to do my Trumpology reports monthly for obvious reasons. There's so much going on with him that we need a month. So let's talk about what's going on in the United States chart this quarter. Let's talk about, first of all, the sun, the giver of life. Wherever that falls in the United States chart, that's the area that is lit up. Well, it starts in the 11th house of Congress. And of course, when we're dealing with a mundane chart, we can bring in some of the traditional interpretations from a birth chart. In other words, the 11th house, yes, is Congress. It's also local councils, city councils, state councils. It deals with the treasury. It deals with our legislators, and it deals with other people's children. And so this can be very helpful, I'm thinking, for some of those children who were separated from their parents. I'm hoping, because that's an issue that really concerns me. Then on April 13th, the sun moves into our 12th house and lights up an area that is hidden and private, because that's the 12th house. The 12th house deals with prisons and institutions. It deals with bribery. It deals with crime. It deals with secrets of all types. It deals with welfare, deals with our hidden enemies, which can be going on in our own home, so to speak. All right. So we may get more information during that time. I don't know, because it's still hidden. Now, on May 29th, the sun sits on the United States ascendant. The ascendant in any chart is the most important area of that chart. It represents the actual physical body. And for the United States, for any country, it deals with the political attitude of the people, the mood of the people. It deals with public health as well. Now, in the United States chart, we have Uranus and Mars in the first house. I use the 7 Gemini rising chart. And so the sun sits on the ascendant and the people come alive. Uranus is the rebel. Uranus rules Aquarius, which rules the president, the 10th house. And so there can be lots of rebellion, as well as excitement over what the president says or does. However, this does indicate a certain rebellion on the part of the public, particularly since it's in the first house until, oh, I need my glasses. Excuse me. That's better. Till June 22nd, it sits on Mars, which is gunfire. Okay? It's anger. It's war. And so this combination of the sun on Uranus, then of course moving through the midpoint between Uranus and Mars, and then sitting on Mars, the public is going to be upset. It will probably be at something the president does, because Uranus rules the midheaven, which is the president or government. Now, as the sun moves into our second house on June 22nd, it sits on Venus. The second house is money. It's the wealth of the people. It's also our debts. It's money. It's our earning power. It's our finances. It's the stock exchange. It's any type of personal loan. And it's money through commerce and trade. And so with the sun lighting it up, there can be more money, which is lovely. Venus rules the 6th house of work, more jobs. And it sits on Jupiter on the 27th. And both of these planets are our benefic planets, the good guys. And so what this can do is create more income for us. This is super. Now, Mercury. Mercury is our, the way we think, the way we talk, the way we communicate. It's a lot of this, okay, lots of talking. It's in the 11th house of Congress. Legislators, our friends. The 11th house is the house of friends. So these would be our friends, other countries. And so there can be a lot of talk coming from Congress, coming to and from Congress. And then on May 2nd, Mercury enters the 12th house. Now remember, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus travel as a team. And so we've got Mercury thinking about, talking about, communicating, but it's in secret. We don't know what's going on. And so everything I just said about the 12th house is activated by Mercury, which is communication, talking, thinking. Mercury, just as the Sun did, is going to cross our ascendant on May 24th. And so this is the mood of the people. This is us talking, sharing ideas, telling everybody what we want. A day after it sits on the ascendant, it sits on Uranus, and that can be rebellion, a communication that is rebellious, that is impulsive. There can be a lot of impulsive stuff going on with Uranus. Uranus rules computers. Mercury is communication. There can be more hacking, this type of thing. And remember, Uranus rules the midheaven, which rules our president. The 10th house is the government and the person in power. Then, on May 30th, Mercury sits on Mars. Mars is fire. Mars is action. Mars is anger. And Mercury talks about it, thinks about it, shares it. So there can be great angry outbursts during this time. Then, as Mercury moves into our second house on June 4th, we're thinking of new ways of creating money. We're talking about it. When Mercury sits on Venus on the 5th, that's when things can start moving because Venus is the lesser benefic. When it sits on Jupiter, the greater benefic, on the 7th, oh, that is really positive because we can make money through other people, through our allies, and through our friends. So the legislature can grant the ability, the House and Senate, for more income. I don't know how that will manifest, but it's looking good. Then on June 11th, Mercury sits on the Sun, and that triggers all kind of talking and communicating about money. And the Sun rules our 4th house of our land. It rules the Democrats because it's the party out of power. It rules real estate. It rules all domestic affairs. It rules our crops, and it rules seniors as well. So this can be very helpful to everything and everybody that falls in one of those groups. Then on June 18th, Mercury enters the 3rd house. It's a natural house, and there's lots of talking and communicating. On the 21st, we have a Mercury return. Now, the 3rd house deals with traffic. It deals with news. It deals with the media, and there will be more media coverage for whatever is going on. Newspapers, anything that falls under the category of communication. Neighborhoods, this is local areas, can come forward more. And of course, mass transportation. So that is what is triggered. Now, Venus, the lesser benefic, starts off in the 10th house. And so this is the president, very happy with his public image. This is the United States, people happy with our public image. And then on April 6th, Venus enters the 11th house, once again, of Congress. And Venus smooths things over nicely. Now, we got other things going on, but Venus helps. You know what I'm saying. Every little bit helps. And so there can be more of a friendly communication with our Congress people. Remember, this rules legislation. and it rules anything that has to go through a group. Nice. May 9th, Venus moves into our 12th house, and progress can be made in the area of anything that is hidden or private. Everything I've mentioned about the 12th house. Hidden enemies, money can come into the picture and smooth things over, if you catch my drift. And then on June 15th, Venus sits on the United States ascendant. And whenever Venus sits on your ascendant, you're happy. You're looking good. You're feeling good. Okay? That's how the attitude of the people is going to be. Now, remember the planets in that first house. Uranus, the rebel. Mars, the fighter. And so there can be happiness relating to rebellion and fighting and saying, this is what I want. Okay. Which brings me to, and some of you have been waiting on this, Mars. Okay. Now, Mars is anger. Mars is passion. Wherever Mars is in your chart, that's what you throw yourself into. That's what you're passionate about. That may be what you're angry about. This is you saying, this is what I want. And I always tell people, just channel that energy positively. Go to the gym. Don't express it on the road, whatever you do. All right, so let's talk about this. Mars is behind the scenes. It's angry about what's going on. It's triggering it's fomenting things. It's stirring things up that we don't even know about. Because it's the 12th house, it's hidden, all right? It deals with bribery. It deals with prison, charitable institutions. You know, I wanted to mention this, that when Venus is in our 12th and the sun is in our 12th and even Mercury in our 12th, this can help charitable organizations. I'm thinking of the Special Olympics that has gotten a lot of publicity now because of funding being cut. No. So Venus can help, which is lovely. Mars is stirring things up, and it's going on at the beginning of April. On the 11th of April, the public is feeling it. And this is the political attitude of the people. It's the health of the people. It's the whole public outcry. Mars on Uranus is incendiary. Uranus, of course, is rebellious. It rules electronics, electricity. It rules computers. So people are angry, and it shows. I always tell people when they have Mars on their Uranus, which of course doesn't happen often, but when it does, it is incendiary. I call it the get on your Harley and ride aspect, because you are not going to sit still for 2 seconds. You're just ready. And so that's what we got going on. Then on May 1st, we have a Mars return. And just Mars on Mars is out of my way or the highway. And that's exactly how it will be. Okay? Mars crosses into the second house of our income, our money. And that's what we're focused on May 6th. On the 19th, it sits on Venus. And we're fighting to get money related to Venusian products, which would be beauty, art, anything ruled by Venus. Venus in the United States chart rules the 6th house of employees and work and health. And so we may be fighting over our money that we get relating to health. Venus also rules an interception in the 12th house of secrets. So there's a lot going on. Now, I wanted to mention something else here. Here we go. Mars is going to sit on the sun on June 4th. And this is when, if you have Mars on your sun, you're impatient. You want to do it yesterday. You want to do it now. The sun rules the 4th house of homes, family, real estate, our land. It also rules the party out of power, which is the Democrats. And then on June 18th, Mars enters our 3rd house, and we are telling it like it is. On the 23rd, it sits on Mercury, and this is a time when, if you are traveling, you want to just kind of double check everything, because Mars is anger and Mercury is communication, and this is local communication. It's not long distance communication, but trains, planes, and automobiles do come into the picture. Okay, now, what I thought would be interesting would be for me to show you a couple of things. First of all, I want to talk about the full moon, because, you know, that's when things come to a head. In the United States chart, we have 2 full moons, one in April, one in May, in the 6th house of work, health, service, the military, civil servants, food, animals, and we're talking about policemen and firemen and everybody who serves. The first full moon is April 19th. That's when things come to a head. And the second one is May 19th. So this 6th house of workers, health, health care, very strongly activated. And then the full moon on June 17th is in the 7th house of other people. This would be open enemies, but it deals with the lower courts. It deals with international affairs. It deals with war, deals with lawsuits, deals with lawyers, deals with politics and the public. Lower courts, that's the whole deal. Now, back in January, we had 2 eclipses. The first one, and they're strongest 3 to 4 months after they occur, which is April and May. Okay, the first one fell in the United States 9th house of the Supreme Court, international travel, long distance travel, and we're feeling it now because of, remember, Mercury is in our will be in our 3rd house. We have a Mercury return. And at the time I'm recording this video, Boeing has had some major disastrous issues with their 737 MAX 8 planes. Hopefully it will be resolved soon. But with the eclipse in the 9th house, this deals with foreign trade, importing, exporting. It deals with universities. We've had some issues with the universities and cheating to get into them quite recently. Foreign travel, things of that nature. And the second eclipse in January fell in our 3rd house. Again, public opinion, traffic, travel, schools, news, the media. This is what is active now. And I thought I would simplify everything here by showing you just the positions of the planets. Because, as I mentioned, Sun, Venus, and Mercury travel as a team. Now, Mars is involved in the mix. Anger, passion, do it now. The Sun, Venus, and Mercury are all in the United States 11th house of the legislature, Congress, legislation, the Treasury, and then they move into the 12th house together, and Mars comes into the picture. And that's where the fighting is. That's where the anger is. Behind the scenes activities, everything that I've talked about, activated. Then all 4 of them cross the United States ascendant. So when that 1st house is triggered, it is triggered by 4 planets within just a brief period of time. And then the same 4 planets trigger Uranus and Mars in the first house. And that's when people are fighting mad. Then those same planets, minus Venus, move into the second house of money. And by June, the Sun, Mercury, and Mars are in that second house. And Mars especially fighting for more money. Now, this is what I'm looking for. As you know, I'm going to continue doing my monthly Trumpology reports. But I thought you might be interested in seeing where these planets travel April, May, and June in Trump's chart. Keeping in mind all this 1st, 12th, and 1st house activity. In Trump's chart, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus are lighting up long-distance travel and foreign relationships. So he may say one thing one day, another day, but Venus there helps. This is really cool. This deals with higher education, so he's going to get probably involved in that part of it. The Supreme Court may come into the picture. And then Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars in his 10th house. With Mars, with the Sun in his 10th, he's the leader. With Mercury in his 10th, he's just communicating as the leader, talking. Venus in the 10th, he's loving his public image. And Mars in the 10th, he's angry. So the people are angry. He's angry. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? I think they flip-flop and take turns. And then the Sun, Mercury, and Mars are in his 11th house of Congress, legislation, friends. He's angry. And this can tie in with us getting more money, fighting for it. So there is so much more involved in a quarterly forecast, but I wanted to give you the main activity and simplify it so that you get the whole picture. And if you will, just keep in mind what the planets mean and what the houses mean, and just expand your thinking. You will be able to see a lot. And so, dear friends, till next time, my next video, my wish for you, my blessing for you, is that the stars shine brightly on you and yours. Bye for now.